There, of course, are a number of Republican candidates. There's one race in particular that you are particularly interested in. It's in southern New Jersey, Atlantic City, Cape May, that area. And the Democrat has made and is encouraging people to make some very questionable contributions to, I guess you call it a charitable organization there. It has some questionable affiliations, I guess we could say. What's going on?
Absolutely. I mean, this is just the latest example of a Democrat politician putting violent criminals ahead of law enforcement. So we have Amy Kennedy, who's running in New Jersey too. She's trying to run on the Kennedy name, and she has gone all in on supporting violent criminals. She used her campaign apparatus to solicit donations to this organization, the National Community Bail Fund, which has been responsible for bailing out violent criminals throughout the whole country. So we want folks to be aware of that and let them know that she's not for law enforcement, she's not for law and order, and she's not for the safe community down there in South Jersey.
And Amy Kennedy is married to the former congressional member, Patrick Kennedy, I believe.
That's right.
He was a member of Congress, I think, from Rhode Island, a Democrat from Rhode Island, son of Senator Edward Kennedy. And this district, of course, is in southern New Jersey. Jeff Van Drew, I believe, is the incumbent Republican. So she has sent out a letter soliciting contributions to one of these bail funds that provides bail. And in particular, we know that this organization that she's suggesting people contribute to, it's called the National Bail Fund Network, I believe, and they have supported 2 bail funds, one in Minnesota and then one in Chicago. What do we know about the bail organization in Minnesota that has been supported by this group that Amy Kennedy has been soliciting donations for?
I mean, we know they're focused on bailing out criminals no matter what they've done. It's not just petty criminals that are being let out. There's rapists that have been released from prison because of this organization who have gone on to assault further victims. So that's just something that is ridiculous to think about on its face, that you have people running for office who want to release violent criminals back into the community. But that's where we are in 2020 with this Democrat Party, who has made defunding the police and taking the side of criminals over law enforcement their modus operandi.
And for instance, in Minnesota, we have, there's a news article here, and someone who's familiar with the bail process says that now they are actually letting out violent criminals. At this point, this is not for protesters because they've all been let out.
Yep.
They're gone. So what you have left are violent criminals, which they're saying this is what the bail is going to, is to release some of these violent criminals. And they actually talk about a couple of these folks who just never returned.
It's unacceptable that Democrats who want to represent their constituents are forcefully advocating for this policy that, again, is letting violent criminals back into the community for them to commit further crimes. And so as a party, Republicans want law and order. We want to be on the side of law enforcement, and Democrats are the complete opposite. They've taken the side of violent criminals time and again, and it's unacceptable, and it's why Amy Kennedy has no chance of winning that election in New Jersey's 2nd District.
What does this say about the contemporary Democratic Party, some of these Democratic candidates who are taking on Republicans in a district like the 2nd District in New Jersey, which is, I guess it's a Trump +5, so it's nominally leans Republican.
The Democratic Party has made it very clear where they stand on the issue of justice. They side with criminals. We've seen throughout the country these peaceful protests, so they want to say, taking place all across the country, whether it's Portland, Chicago, Minneapolis, and what these have turned out to be have been violent riots that have targeted innocent citizens, and innocent businesses have had to pay the price. And meanwhile, Democrat politicians have stood back and watched and sided with these violent criminals throughout the country. And that's something that South Jersey voters, I think, are going to make very clear they want no part of in November. They're going to stand with Jeff Van Drew. They're going to stand with President Trump, and they're going to put their foot down and say there's no room for violent criminals to be overtaking our communities.
Michael McAdams, the National Press Secretary for the National Republican Congressional Committee, which is the campaign arm of the Republicans in the House. Thank you for talking to One America News.
Thanks for having me on.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.